The summer season can bring a lot of joy, but also plenty of hazards, both for us humans as well as our beloved pets. So, how do you help your pet family beat the heat and have a fun, healthy summer with you and yours in the process? Joining us for all the tips and tricks for this summer is the owner of Premier Pet Supply, Mike Palmer. Mr. Palmer, thanks for being with us again.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you back on the show as we are now into the thick of the summer season. We've already gotten a little dose of some of the summer heat and humidity that we experience, usually later on in the dog days of summer, right away in the first few days. So let's begin with that. When the heat comes in, and we know it affects us quite significantly, how does that often affect our pets, particularly our dogs that are outside for a significant period of time?
Well, I know this weather kind of came out of nowhere because we had a slow start to the season. It kind of hit us. And, you know, the one thing that we have to consider and think about is our pets are wearing a fur coat all the time, right? And so we got to keep that in mind and factor that in, that they don't have a way of kind of like shedding some clothes and putting on their summer clothes. So one thing I would say is just being very observant and conscientious of the temperatures and the times that you're allowing them to be outside. You might want to consider doing your daily walk very early or later in the evening when the weather's cooler. That's definitely a start.
Yeah, it's something that I've sort of employed myself into my daily routines when we have that sort of heat. I have family that lives out west, and that's what they do in Arizona and in California when they have the hottest seasons of the year. People get out in the morning or people get out in the evening, the midday, that's when you stay indoors. A good rule to apply for your pets. On the other side of that, sometimes you just can't avoid going outside. When it's time for your dog to do their business, they got to go outside, they got to take care of that and come back in. But what maybe are some products or some other actions that people can take to help counteract some of the effects of that heat on their pets in those moments?
For sure. Some of us, you know, we've got pools in back and the dogs don't want to be left out. They want to hang out with us. And, you know, some of us, and especially in West Bloomfield with all the lakes, definitely are out on the boat and out by the water. So the things to keep in mind and consider is having an area or plenty of spaces where the dog has shade provided, in an area where we can really stay cool, making sure that there's clean, fresh, cold water always available to them. So throwing some ice cubes in that bowl from time to time, giving them, you know, even like a summer treat, you know, something that you can do from home easily is take an ice cube tray, throw some bone broth or some goat milk in there, maybe a few treats, and freeze that, or do the same thing inside a toy that will allow it. Freeze that as well and give that to them while they're outside, so it actually keeps them cool and helps them to cool down. A couple of things that we have in our stores that are very, very beneficial are cooling collars. You know, cooling collars in days past used to be something you would soak with water, throw in the freezer, and then it would just melt really quickly. The ones that we have now are really cool. They're by a company called Baydog, U.S. veteran-owned company. And what they have are a little gel packs inside the collar that you can throw that whole thing in the freezer. It freezes, you get it on the dog, and it can stay cool for hours.
And that can be really helpful during the summer season, whether we're, excuse me, in the middle of a heat wave where the heat indices are well over 100 degrees, or we're in a regular summer day where it's in the 80s, but it's full humidity. That can have a big effect on your dogs and your other pets that are outdoors. We think about, too, a lot of people with outdoor cats or with indoor and outdoor cats maybe have set up a catio outside. That heat also going to have a similar effect on them as well. The fur coats definitely come into play. Mike Palmer is with us from Premier Pet Supply, their West Bloomfield location in the Orchard Mall, located on Orchard Lake Road, just north of Maple Road in West Bloomfield Township. Mike, there is some key differences that can tell the difference between when maybe your dog is in danger of heat exhaustion or heat stroke during the summer season versus just regular exhaustion from play. So often when we're playing with our dogs, when we're out for a walk or we've been running around or playing around with them, they'll be panting for a while. What are some of the signs that that's not just regular panting and that's some sort of exhaustion that could potentially be dangerous for our beloved pets?
Sure. Now, panting is normal. Dogs don't have the sweat glands that we do in our skin, so they can sweat in a very small way through their paws and their pads. But panting is the way that they can release that heat from their body. So if you recognize or witness excessive panting where they just seem to be at a point of, lethargy or, just completely not wanting or willing to move any further, it's really important that you get them somewhere where you can get them cooled down, get them in the house. You don't want them overdoing it, and something to consider too. We talked about walks or having them outside. That extreme heat affects them in different ways. What I would recommend people do before you get out there onto a paved area or even the asphalt is feel it. Put your hand on that. If it burns your hand, think about those pads on those feet of theirs. Very sensitive. They're exposed. Asphalt in 85-degree temperatures can get up to 120 degrees. Even concrete can get over 100 degrees. So it's really important that we watch out for that. There are actual cooling doggy boots that we sell in our stores, which are pretty cool. But obviously, just avoiding it altogether if you don't have something like that is really important because they can be injured.
You can do a lot of your local shopping online on PremierPetSupply.com. Follow them for even more tips and tricks all throughout the summer and other critical seasons like winter. Some of the opposites of what we see in the summer apply then. They're across social media at Premier Pet Supply. That's Premier Pet Supply across social media. Mike Palmer is joining us on today's edition of the Splash Live. Mike, a lot of these principles we talk about for the summer season, they apply to our dogs in particular that are outside very commonly, but a lot of them also apply to our other pets, cats, even pets like rabbits or guinea pigs along the way as well. So what are some of the similar ways that these high temperatures can affect our other, maybe less common house pets as well?
Sure. It affects them all. Absolutely. Some of them are a little more resilient than others. Keeping your smaller pets like your cats, your guinea pigs, your bunnies, your hamsters, your gerbils, whatever it may be, indoors, obviously, but, in an air conditioned area. And for some people that may not have air conditioning, run some fans in the room, make sure it's well ventilated. You don't want the humidity also affecting them because that is something that, all those guys are susceptible to. Unless you got a bearded dragon or some type of reptile, they actually love this type of weather, so you're good to go.
And I was at your location earlier on this week in West Bloomfield. I go to that one. I go to the one in Novi. That's closer to where I live as well. And what I love about going in is that both yourself and your team, you are playing a big role in the education of your customers as well. It's not just about getting them to buy those products when you walk in. So especially during this time of the year when they're coming in, maybe even first-time pet owners, it's their first summer with these pets. What role does education play in your everyday at Premier Pet Supply locations like ours here in West Bloomfield?
Yeah, I think it's a huge differentiator. We've got, people that are truly trained even in nutrition in our stores and just all aspects, of general care, in the overall health of your animals and pets. So when you walk in our stores, you're not only going to get answers to your questions, and you're going to get knowledge-based answers to those questions. And, we may not know everything, but we really know close to just about everything in every aspect that you may endure with your pet. So for the people in the West Bloomfield community and all the other communities that, we are fortunate enough to have our stores in, they find us as a sort and a resource. A lot of them may come to us before they make a vet visit or in the interim before they can make it to a vet to see if there's some way that we may be able to help them through a problem or situation prior. We're always going to obviously recommend veterinary care when, it's necessary, but we really pride ourselves in having knowledge-based customer service. It's something you can't get online or in the internet or sometimes even at the big box stores. We really, truly care. We've got, people that are very invested in educating themselves and in the overall welfare and health of your pets and your animals. And that's why we've been around for over almost 33 years now.
And we want to congratulate you on that as well. Over 30 years of service here in Southeast Michigan, expanding all throughout the local area. You have stores all throughout the place, including right here in West Bloomfield on Orchard Lake Road. Mike Palmer is with us from Premier Pet Supply with a location, as we mentioned, in the Orchard Mall right here in West Bloomfield Township as we talk about pet health and some of the risks that come along with the summer season, what you need to be aware of. Of course, more information, helpful tips across social media. You can follow them at Premier Pet Supply. Mike, before we let you go, anything else that our audience should know on this topic before we let you go, or things coming up at Premier Pet Supply this summer?
I'd offer one piece of advice. Some people think it's a great idea to shave a dog down in the summer heat because it'll cool them down. That's a big mistake. Actual dog's fur, believe it or not, insulates them from extreme heat. So that undercoat is really important to remain intact. So keep that in mind. The one thing that I would offer is that end of July, we always run our customer appreciation week. It's a week long starting July 28th. And we're really excited. We're offering 10% off all food and toppers, 30% off everything else in the store. It's something our customers have really grown to look forward to and mark their calendars for. And it makes us happy that, people get excited for it because it's our way of saying thank you and giving back to the wonderful support that we get from the West Bloomfield community and the other communities surrounding, the Metro Detroit area.
You can explore their products and see all their store hours from across Southeast Michigan on PremierPetSupply.com. Mike, thank you as always for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. Love it.